In this video I'm back home and it's raining again. So I'm going to discuss what happened with my G9 yesterday. Roll titles. Well, hi YouTube, Brian James at Micro Four Thirds Guy with you once again, and I'm back at home. I'm back in the, well, I'm in the caravan at home on the drive rather than being away. As you might have seen in some of the videos, I spent a rather nice few days at Barnard Castle, which is in the, for those of you not in the UK, it's in the northeast of England, probably about, I'd say about 40, maybe 50 miles south of Newcastle, if that. And really enjoyable time I had there, but I'm back, and that's well, I got a bit bored, as you can imagine. I get bored very easily. I don't know about you. While we're on the subject of the Barnard Castle, I did a few videos over there. Thank you very much for everybody who watched them. Thank you very much for everybody who left comment and also gave a big thumbs up. That really was appreciated, so thanks everyone for that. It does help. It really does help. And I actually don't make videos for people to see anymore. I think I make videos for the algorithm to see, and that's how people get to see them. It's a topsy-turvy world. There'll be a few car noises go past because I've got a window open because I'm a bit warm in here at the moment, so just ignore them as the video goes on. But I took my G9 out yesterday to a type of shoot that I haven't done for, well, a good number of years. I don't think I've done an event shoot since before lockdown, so I took my G9 along with me just to do a lunchtime event shoot. And because it wasn't an evening, because it was lunchtime, it was daylight shoot rather than using flash. And in fact, it was one of those places where to use flash would have been rather intrusive on the event, so I had to really use natural light, which is fine. And in some ways it's a little bit easier because you don't get that sort of glare of bright light where everything else is put into darkness in the background. Gives a nice natural light for the event. Problem was, there's a whole row of windows right away along one wall which were letting a lot of bright sunlight in, so as soon as you went certain directions and taking photographs of people, all you were getting is silhouettes. And if you tried exposing for them, then you just got a total whiteout from the background. So it was one of those fun things, trying to get your head around how you can do them. That wasn't the problem. The problem came at the end when I looked at the results from them. And what I did for it, I do on these event shoots, I tend to do one of two modes. I'll either leave it on program mode or I'll put it onto aperture priority. If I've got an aperture priority, it's because in somewhere I want to be able to control the aperture and speed of it better. But most of the time you're going around, you're trying to get the shot, you're spending more time communicating with the people you're taking photographs with than worrying about camera settings, which is the right way it should be. You know, you're trying to get those to come up well on the photos. You don't want to be spending half your time just saying, hang on a second, I'm just going to adjust myself and see if is it better at f5.6 or 6. Just bear with me, keep smiling. It doesn't work. So I spend most of my time on program mode, which I'm very happy with, and auto expo and auto ISO. But I do tend to set an upper limit on the auto ISO at about 6400, so it's not too bad. Now, you know that I've been a proponent of Micro Four Thirds for many years now, and I've learned to live with the shortcomings of the system. I know there are shortfalls with having a Micro Four Thirds sensor rather than a full frame sensor, but I got the photos off from this yesterday. They came out well. You know, there was nothing wrong with the photos themselves. But then I realised just how noisy they look from a chrominance sort of noise rather than a luminance noise, if you know what I mean by that. The sort of the flecky, sort of coloury noise that you get from the gain. And it was just on every single shot. And when I looked at the ISOs, it was topping out most of the time at probably about ISO 500 or 600. You know, it wasn't very high. It was a nice bright day, so it wasn't as if I was pushing it up to silly ISO levels. These were all sub 1000 ISO. And the one or two which were above 1000 ISO, I would have expected to see some noisy grain on, but most of these were considerably less than that. Most of them shot reasonably well open. I wasn't using the fastest lens. I was using the 14:1, sorry, the 12 to 60 at 5.3 to 3.5 to 5.3, and you would get it right in the end. Lumix lens that I do like, and that was sitting most of its time round about the f5.6, 6.3, so it was fairly well open. But it was just noisy, and I took them back, put them onto Lightroom, had a look at them, and was rather disappointed. And that got me to looking at some of the photographs I used to take on my full-frame cameras when I was doing similar events before I went to the Micro Four Thirds. At that time I was using 5D Mark II, 5D Mark III, and 1DS Mark III from Canon. And the results were astounding on the difference. Now, bearing in mind, most of those cameras are at round about the same megapixel count. It's not a change in megapixels. They're around about the 20 megapixels, 20.8 or something like that, 20.1. So it's a very, very similar sort of megapixel count to the Lumix G9. But they were so clean. They really were so clean. And this has rather got to me because I've accepted a certain degree of noise for quite a while on photographs, and I still do to this day. It's not a big problem. But I suddenly had to do a batch of about 80 photos and stick them through Topaz. I'm really impressed with Topaz. I'll have to do a review on Topaz sometime on the channel and just let you see it if you're not a user of Topaz. But you can do a batch change on Topaz, and they did come out very, very well. I'm really impressed with them on that. But it did start me thinking, is it time to consider, for certain things, looking at a full-frame camera? And I never thought I'd say that again. I do not intend to give up Micro Four Thirds at all, because the format, especially the lens sizes, for 99% of the work that I do are fabulous. It's that lightweight. And yes, I know that something like the G9 is quite a heavy camera in itself. It's comparable in weight and size to several of the full frames. In fact, it's bigger than some of the full frames. But the lenses are always fantastic quality and so small and neat and easy. So that's got me thinking a little bit. Now, I have said recently, and I put a video on my Patreon channel saying which cameras I was going to sell. And I'm going to have to go back on that video, I'm afraid, because I am going to actually keep the camera I decided I was going to sell. So if you're on my Patreons, I will do you another Patreon-only video to tell you what's going on that one. But needless to say that I'm not going to be selling the cameras that I was thinking of. But it has prompted me to think maybe it's worth investing in something like a Lumix S5, or maybe the Lumix S5 Mark II. But I think an S5 would do me quite happily, because I don't need the super fast focus of the phase detect. So an S5 Mark I, which are going quite reasonably at the moment, may be the way to go. The problem is when you do change to a different camera format than the one you've got. I've got loads of lenses. I've got all my lenses. I've got all my other Micro Four Thirds cameras. And I won't be getting rid of any of those lenses. And I won't be getting rid of most of the cameras. But I'll still need to invest in glass. And that gets me to the question, what would I want to invest in glass on a full frame? I think I do quite fancy the Lumix, the S5. It is a small, neat camera. It's about the same physical size as the G9. So it's small and neat, nothing like the 1DS Mark III that I had previously, where I need a surgical truss to be able to actually carry it around now. But I think if I had an S5 Mark II or an S5, would probably be a really good camera for me to consider with the L-mount lenses. Yeah, L-mount lenses, that's the ones. So that gets me into choosing the lenses. Now, I don't want to go huge again. So would I consider getting myself a standard range zoom lens, or would I consider getting a couple of good primes, couple of good small primes? Because now we're not talking into equivalences, we're talking into real things. So if I was buying prime on that, a 50, well, I probably would need three. A 50, something like an 85, and 28, maybe 35 mil. 35 mil is a really good lens. I do like that. That's equivalent to my 17 mil on my Micro Four Thirds. Or do I go for a zoom lens, which adds weight, but there again, it's one lens, which would be a little bit slower, but I'm not really that bothered because I'm not doing any of the sort of real super shallow portrait work. And even with having something like a 2.8 lens on that, it's getting me a better depth of field for portrait work for bokeh than any of the zooms that I've got on my Micro Four Thirds. Let me know in the comments what you think I should do. As I say, I could carry on doing topaz and denoising everything on there, but when you're doing quite a number of shots, it took me a long time to go through those photographs and to put them through the denoising process. So let me know what you think. Do you think I should consider going for something like an S5? Not in exchange for my Micro Four Thirds. I won't be leaving that format. I will still be that Micro Four Thirds guy. And if I do go for something like that, what lens do you think I would need for what I'm doing? And as I say, I would probably be using that to do head and shoulder portrait work and event functions, dinners, that sort of thing. You know, where you've got dinners. I'm not going to be needing super zooms or anything like that, or I'm not going to be using it for going out to doing super landscapes or thing. So what would you suggest I would be doing? Do I go for something like a 2470 or a 24-105, wherever the equivalent on the L series is, or do I go for 2 or 3 different zooms? Let me know in the comments below. I'd really be interested, and let you know if you think I should go and dip my toe back into full frame again. However, until the next time, I shall say bye-bye. Keep on taking your camera out and keep on having fun with your photography. Bye-bye.